Hi, this is Steve Cain, and I am joined by my friend and colleague Ivette Mundell. And today we're just going to give you a few minutes of legislative updates. For a long time there was nothing going on, and there seems like there's some activity now. So Ivette and I wanted to provide you with some updates in a handful of states that are looking at public long-term care insurance programs. So Ivette, what's going on?
Yeah, we are watching 5 states right now. They are all moving in different ways. So we can start off with Connecticut. Connecticut has been exploring this space for a bit. They had a similar study bill last year, SB 245, that ultimately died before the session ended in May 2024. Fast forward to this year, the Committee on Aging introduced Bill 122 on February 11th. Similar concept, it would require the Commissioner of Social Services to conduct a study of the state's LTC needs with a report due on January 1st of 2027. They've already had a public hearing on February 19th. So really, to sum it up, Connecticut is still in the early exploratory territory. No program proposals yet, just trying to get a clearer picture of what the state actually needs.
In fact, when I hear about Connecticut, it makes me think of the other states that are exploring that you're going to go over. It seems like there's a process where sometimes you might go straight to a bill, like we saw in New York and Massachusetts that didn't progress. But it sounds like California as an example where, let's study this.
Yeah.
Let's build a commission, step number 2, and then let's go to legislation at some point. So is that what you're seeing in Hawaii too?
No, Hawaii is actually a little bit more further along, right? So Hawaii has SB 2931 that was introduced January 23rd of this year, and it would create a Hawaii Cares Fund. Similar, just like Washington Cares Act in Washington, they almost kind of like copy pasted it. This program is going to mirror the structure. It's an eligibility requirements for the trigger. To trigger the benefit requires 3 of the 6 ADLs or severe cognitive impairment.
Right.
Workers are going to have to meet the vesting requirement before they could access the benefits. And should this pass, then the payroll tax premiums actually begin January 1st of 2027. So the big thing here with Hawaii, as it stands, the current draft also provides an opt-out for individuals with private coverage. So that's huge.
Well, two things on that. Number one, 3 ADLs is different than 2 ADLs,
Yes.
that we distribute from an insurance standpoint. So it seems like you've got to be in a little bit worse shape in order to qualify for this benefit. And number 2, I think as this thing goes down, this is just my experience, my gut feeling, as this thing continues to progress and people talk about it, I think what they're going to have to do is eliminate the opt-out. Like every state that we're talking to, this is becoming compulsory where you cannot opt out of it. You either own insurance prior to the law being passed or after you continue to pay that tax. So we'll see, but that's just my gut, is that the opt-out sounds great, but once you start doing the actuarial math, it doesn't. So what about the state of Illinois?
Illinois, another state jumping right into the public long-term care program space with HB 4918, introduced February 2nd of this year. If passed, that would create a long-term care trust act, a payroll tax funded program providing LTC benefits to eligible employees. The payroll deduction would be set at 0.58%. Similar to Hawaii, this one also includes an opt-out for individuals with private coverage. So that's a consistent theme that we're seeing across these state proposals. But it's still in their early stages. Worth watching as it closely mirrors what we're seeing in Hawaii and other states moving in this direction.
I think you got to think about politics too. I mean, some of these states have super majorities in terms of Democratic legislators. So I think you're going to see more activity in the 26 and 27 in these super majorities than you are red states. What about New Jersey?
New Jersey's taking more of a cautious route. So they're doing a study first approach with A 1663, introduced January 13th of this year. Rather than jumping straight into a program, this bill would commission a long-term health care cost study to model 2 options. Option 1, a public benefit program funded by payroll tax. Option 2, a public-private risk-sharing model focused on catastrophic LTC costs. The study would be completed within 1 year and would come with recommendations for both regulatory and legislative changes. So New Jersey isn't proposing a program just yet. They want to do their homework first and understand what model makes sense for them.
I like the fact that they're looking at a public and private partnership. If you ask me what's your opinion, Cain, I'd say, some combination of the both. You could go at it, public only, but I think you're going to be more successful bringing in the private market as well. And last but not least, this one surprised the heck out of me, West Virginia.
I know. I was really surprised to see any movement coming out of West Virginia. So West Virginia introduced HB 5664 this year, which would create a public long-term care trust program modeled after Washington's CARES Fund. I was super surprised. What makes this one stand out is that it's actually sponsored by a Republican, which is notable given that most of the other proposals we've been seeing movement coming from a Democratic side. It's still really early. The bill is currently under construction, but that bipartisan angle is worth flagging, Steve. Like you were just saying, we're seeing more of this movement kind of in the blue states. This is the first time we're really seeing it in a red state.
Very interesting. And look, with all of this stuff, it's our job to be your eyes and ears, right? To keep our thumb on the pulse of what's going on from a legislative standpoint, and just understand that these things take time. They usually don't go fast. And some of these bills or studies progress faster than others. So expect to hear more from us. And I don't think it underscores or changes the message that we're sharing with brokers and partners out there that, hey, long-term care planning makes sense. And what we're finding is at the state level, at the legislative level, I think these legislators are looking at their elderly populations and thinking about this next generation of folks that are going to need long-term care, and they saying to themselves, hey, we got to do something.
We got to solve it.
We got to solve it. So I think that's good news for us in terms of visibility for this planning solution that we're so passionate about. And I think brokers got to go out there and not lead with legislation, but lead with the idea of protecting retirement income, protecting lifestyles, in the event that one of these plans does keep moving forward.
Yeah, well, I know, that's what I have on the state front. I'm deep in the weeds on the states, but I know that you've been working on the federal level, having conversations and looking into a little bit more of the WISH Act. What do you have to share with us on there?
Yeah, a few weeks ago, I did a town hall meeting at an industry event with Democratic Congressman Tom Suozzi, who's on the Ways and Means Committee. He is a Democrat that proposed a bill last April called the WISH Act, which is a federal catastrophic long-term care program. And he does have bipartisan support. There are a number of co-sponsors now on it, and he's really pushing to get more awareness and support. And this thing would work a little bit differently than the Washington CARES Fund and all these other proposals. This is a federal catastrophic plan, so there would be some type of tax, and we're trying to figure out where is that tax? Is it in Medicare? Is it a payroll tax? To be determined. But the way this thing would work is it's a means tested program. So based on your income or net worth, there would be an eligibility period where you would be ineligible for the program if you make a great living. And then it would come down and you'd be immediately eligible for the program if you're at a certain level. What would it pay? Right now, again, it's all moving. We're not sure yet, but we're looking at maybe $3,600 a month, for 6-year benefit. And again, this would cover most of the catastrophic costs for long-term care. So the idea is have insurance come in and pay for the first year to 3 years to 4 years of benefit, and then the WISH Act would kick in. So very interesting. He knows it's a long-term conversation. It might go beyond this administration into the next or potentially the next, but he is not giving up on the idea of a federal long-term care program. And he thinks that the federal plan is better than all these mishmash state plans that might have their own rules and regulations.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how they're going to work together, these state fund programs and the federal programs, whenever, if ever, the WISH Act gets that far.
Yeah, and one thing that we can tell you for sure is that we're going to have a seat at the table. Because of our industry involvement, Ivette or I are going to be talking directly to legislators, directly to their legislative analysts who are working on this stuff, so that, we have a voice in this and can hopefully direct some of the change that's taking place in programs, or, provide an employer's or a broker's perspective on this stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure that you guys are following us on YouTube and our LinkedIn pages. We are staying on top of everything, and we're trying to keep you guys updated as well. And always, as always, of course, reach out to either Steve or myself if you have any questions or need help with anything.